لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الصلاة والسلام عليك يا رسول الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا حبيب الله الصلاة والسلام عليك يا نبي الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا نور الله. It is mentioned in Bukhari Sharif that the reciter of 10 duroods in the morning and 10 in the evening will receive the help of the beloved sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam on the day of judgment. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Ibn Jarir at-Tabri rahmatullah alayhi says that I was in Makkah during the season of Hajj and I saw a man from Khurasan calling out to the people, O pilgrims, O people of Makkah, from those who are present and those far off, I have lost a pouch that contains 1,000 dinars. So whoever returns the pouch, Allah Azza wa Jal will reward them with good, save them from the fire of hell, and His bounty and favors will be acquired on the day of judgment. An old man from the people of Makkah approached him and said, our city is in very tough condition, and the days of Hajj are few, and its season is appointed, and the doors of profit making are closed. This money might fall in the hands of a believer who is poor and old in age. Maybe he plans to give it if you make a promise that you will give him a little bit of money that is halal, permissible for him to use. The man said, how much does he want? The old man said, he wants 100 dinars. The Khurasani said, no, I will not give him the money, and instead I will take my case to Allah Azza wa Jal and complain to Him on the day we meet Him Azza wa Jal. Ibn Jarir rahmatullah alayhi said, I realized that the old man was poor. He was the one who took the pouch of dinars and wishes to have a little portion of it. So I followed him until he returned to his house. My assumptions were confirmed. I heard him calling unto his wife. She said, I am at your service. The old man said, I found the owner of the dinars calling out, and he does not intend to give any reward to the person who finds it. I said to him, give us 100 dinars, and he refused, and he said he would take his case to Allah Azza wa Jal. What should I do? I must return it, for I fear my Lord Azza wa Jal, and I fear that my sin is being multiplied. His wife said to him, O man, we have been struggling and suffering from poverty with you for the last 50 years. You have 4 daughters, 2 sisters, my mother and I, and you are the 9th person. Keep all the money and feed us, for we are hungry. Clothe us, for you know better our situation. And just maybe Allah Azza wa Jal will make you rich afterwards, and you might be able to give the money back after you fed your children. Or maybe Allah Azza wa Jal will pay the amount you owe on the day when the kingdom will belong to the King Allah Azza wa Jal. Listen to his reply, my dear Islamic brothers. He said to her, will I consume haram after 86 years of my life and burn my organs with the fire of hell after I have been patient with my poverty and in turn become worthy of Allah Azza wa Jal's anger, even though I am close to my grave? No! By Allah Azza wa Jal, I will not do so. Ibn Jarir rahmatullah alayhi said, I left with amazement concerning his condition and that of his wife. The next day, I heard the owner of the pouch calling out again, saying, O people of Makkah, whoever of you finds a pouch containing 1,000 dinars, let him return it, and they shall surely find great reward with Allah Azza wa Jal. The old man came up to him and said, I have addressed you yesterday and advised you that our land is low on cultivation. So reward the person who found the pouch so that he is not tempted to break the laws of Allah Azza wa Jal. I have advised you to pay the person who finds it 100 dinars, but you refused. If your money falls into the hands of a person who fears Allah Azza wa Jal, will you give him 10 dinars at least instead of 100? The man again said, I will not do so, and I will complain to Allah Azza wa Jal on the day I meet him. Ibn Jarir rahmatullah alayhi says, the people dispersed and left. Later on, during the hours of the day, once again the man from Khurasan made the same call, O people of Makkah, whoever of you find a pouch containing 1,000 dinars, let him return it, and they shall surely find great reward with Allah Azza wa Jal. The old man came again and said, I said to you the day before to reward the finder 100 dinars, and you refused. Then I advised you to give him 10 dinars, and you refused. So will you give 1 dinar so that he can buy with half of it things he needs, and with the other half sheep milk so that he can give to the people and feed his children? The man again said, I will not do so, and I will complain to Allah Azza wa Jal on the day I meet him, and Allah Azza wa Jal is sufficient for us and the best one to trust in. The old man angrily said, come you, take your money so that I can sleep at night, for I have not had a good mood ever since I found this money. Ibn Jarir rahmatullah alayhi said, so the old man went with the owner of the money, and I followed them until the old man entered his house, dug a hole and pulled out the money and said, take your money and ask Allah Azza wa Jal to forgive me and bless me from His bounty. The Khurasani took the money and intended to leave. But when he reached the door, he said, old man, my father died and left behind 3,000 dinars and said to me, take a third of this money and give it to a person from the people who is most deserving of it. Therefore, I tied it in a pouch so that I may spend it on someone who is worthy of it. By Allah Azza wa Jal, I have not seen a person since I left Khurasan until now who is more worthy of it than you. So you take it. May Allah Azza wa Jal's blessings be upon you, and may He reward you for the trust you kept and your patience during poverty. The man left without the money. The old man wept and prayed to Allah Azza wa Jal, saying, may Allah Azza wa Jal bless the owner of the money in his grave, and may Allah Azza wa Jal bless his son. Ibn Jarir rahmatullah alayhi said, I left But the old man followed me and brought me back. He asked me to sit down and said, I have seen you following me since the first day. You have come to know of our situation. Yesterday and today, I have heard the beloved sallallahu alaihi wasallam say, if you are gifted from the provisions of Allah Azza wa Jal without begging or asking, then accept it and do not reject it. So this is a gift from Allah Azza wa Jal to all those attending. The old man called his wife, his daughters, his sisters and his mother-in-law, and they all sat down. Ibn Jarir says, we were 10. He opened a bag and said, spread your clothing over your laps. So I did, says Ibn Jarir rahmatullah alayhi. But the girls did not have proper clothing that would enable them to do that. So they extended their hands. The old man gave dinar by dinar in order until he reached me, and he said, here is a dinar. The process continued until the bag was empty and I received 100 dinars. Ibn Jarir rahmatullah alayhi said, so joy filled my heart because of the provisions they received more than the joy I had because I had received 100 dinars. And when I was leaving, the old man said to me, O young man, you are blessed. Keep this money with you, for it is halal. And know that I used to wake up for Fajr with this wet shirt. After I was done, I would take it off and give it to my daughters so they could pray one by one. Then I would go to work between Zohr and Asr, and then I would come back at the end of the day with what Allah has given me from dates and dry pieces of bread. Then I would take off my clothes for my daughters, and they would pray their prayers. And the same would happen for Maghrib and Isha. And we did not ever expect to see this kind of money. So may Allah Azza wa Jal make us make good use of this. And may Allah Azza wa Jal bless the person in the grave and multiply the reward for him. Ibn Jarir rahmatullah alayhi said, I greeted him goodbye and took the 100 dinars and used them to write Islamic knowledge for 2 years. My dear Islamic brothers, this story is a lesson given to him who believes in Allah and the last day. Allah Azza wa Jal states in the Holy Quran, translation from the glorious Kanzul Iman Sharif, and whoever fears Allah, Allah will create for him a way of deliverance and will provide him sustenance from a place he had never expected. And whoever relies on Allah, then Allah Azza wa Jal is sufficient for him. My dear Islamic brothers, tawakkul. The meaning of this word is reliance or trust in Allah Azza wa Jal. That He is the ultimate provider of everything. He is the ultimate sustainer of our life. He is the one who creates all the means. Tawakkul was one of the greatest characteristics of our pious predecessors. They only relied upon Allah Azza wa Jal for everything in their life. But sadly, Muslims of today are completely devoid of this beautiful and very important characteristic. Today, we are led to believe that we can do everything by ourselves. We strongly believe that the harder we work, greater the chances of our success. We forget that it is Allah Azza wa Jal who gives us the success. Lack of reliance, lack of dependence upon Allah Azza wa Jal has meant that we have forgotten our real aim of life. Our real aim is to please Allah Azza wa Jal by worshipping Him, what are we doing today? Our main aim of life has become to earn more and more money. We are in a race to be richer than everyone else. This desire to earn more money is preventing us from the real aim of worshipping Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah Azza wa Jal states in Surah Hud, verse number 6, translation from the glorious Kanzul Iman Sharif. And there is none moving on this earth. The provisions of that is not upon the generous responsibility of Allah Azza wa Jal. This is a fact. Until we have eaten all our sustenance that Allah Azza wa Jal has written for us, we are not going to die. Death only comes once our sustenance has reached its end. Despite this fact, we are still so greedy. All the time we want more and more and more. We want the wealth of the entire universe, and even that wouldn't satisfy our desires. It is human nature that we want to save for the next day, for the next month, for the next year. But what do we save for the next life? The one thing we should be saving for is the next life, the life after death. We should be saving good deeds, but how sad, we are completely negligent in terms of the true wealth, and that is the wealth of good deeds. It is said that there are three creatures that have the nature of saving their food for the next time. One of them is a mouse, the other is an ant, and the third one is a sinful human. Because not every person saves. The pious friends of Allah Azza wa Jal, the Prophets alayhimus salam, do not have the habit of greed. Rather, they have their full faith in Allah Azza wa Jal. Listen to this story, narrated by Hazrat Sayyidina Data Ganj Bakhsh Ali Hajwari Rahmatullah Alayh. He Rahmatullah Alayh says that I inquired from Sayyidina Shaykh Ahmad Hamadi Rahmatullah Alayh the cause of his repentance. This great Shaykh replied, once I left my hometown of Sarhand to another city with my camels. As I was traveling through a jungle, a hungry lion attacked one of my camels and injured him, but did not kill the camel. After injuring the camel, the lion went to the nearby hill and started roaring. In a response to this, lots of hungry animals came out of the jungle. The lion now came back and killed the camel and tore it into pieces, but surprisingly, still did not eat anything, and as before went back to the top of the hill. And there it stayed. The rest of the animals started eating from the hunted camel until each one of them filled their stomach and left the scene. The lion now descended from the hill to eat the remainder of the meat, but he saw a disabled fox coming from a distance to eat the camel. The lion again went back to the hill until this disabled fox also filled her belly and left the scene. Now the lion came back, ate only a little bit of meat. Sayyidina Shaykh Ahmad Hamadi Sarhandi Rahmatullah Alayhi states that I was observing all of this from a distance. The lion now walked towards me, and Allah Azza wa Jal blessed it with the ability to talk. And it said clearly, Ahmad, to sacrifice a single piece of meat only suits a dog. To sacrifice a single piece of meat only suits a dog. Those who have faith in Allah Azza wa Jal, they are willing to sacrifice their whole life. Sayyidina Shaykh Ahmad Hamadi Sarhandi Rahmatullah Alayhi states that after this incident I repented from all my sins, left the attractions of the world, and lit in my heart the candle of love for Allah Azza wa Jal. Now this hungry lion has set an example for us by sacrificing his own hunger for feeding the others. And what an amazing point he made, that to sacrifice a small piece of meat is only suitable for a dog. I am a lion. And then there is us. My dear Islamic brothers, let alone sacrifice a small amount of food. If it was up to us, we wouldn't even give anything to anybody else. We are full of greed, especially when it comes to our sustenance and our earnings. Those of us who only worry about their earnings and provisions, listen to this very beautiful narration. Hazrat Sayyidina Umar Farooq radiyallahu ta'ala anhu said that the beloved of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, if you place full faith in Allah Azza wa Jal, the way that it is required by you, then Allah Azza wa Jal will provide you with sustenance like the birds. They leave their nests in the morning empty stomach and return in the evening with a full stomach. But it is our worry for our provisions which is preventing us from traveling in the way of Allah Azza wa Jal in the Madani qafilas of Dawat-e-Islami. It is our constant thinking about wealth which is preventing us from praying our salah. The love of this world prevents us from sitting inside the masjid with peace. We go inside the masjid to pray namaz, but we enter the masjid. Our situation is like that of a fish which has just come out of the water and is restless to go back into the water. Similarly, we want to come out of the masjid as soon as we can. And even now, some of us are present here physically, but our minds are somewhere else, thinking about the world, thinking about the dunya. Only if our belief in Allah Azza wa Jal becomes as strong as the belief of those birds. Only if we understand and act upon the principle that our sustenance is out in search of us. We make such an effort in search of our rizq that we tire ourselves in doing so. Hazrat Sayyidina Imam Ghazali rahmatullah alayhi has made a very beautiful statement. He says, Allah Azza wa Jal has stated in the Holy Quran that I have created human beings and the jinns for my purpose, for my worship. O human beings, just think about this fact, that Allah Azza wa Jal has created you for His worship. Your aim, my dear Islamic brothers, is what? Worship of Allah Azza wa Jal. Now for us to worship properly, our mind, our body needs to be healthy, fresh and full of energy. And when our mind is fresh, our body is full of energy, we will be able to worship Allah Azza wa Jal with full concentration and enthusiasm. Anything that makes us tired takes the joy out of worship. Now, we are out in search of our sustenance to such an extent that this is making our mind and body tired. When we worship with a tired body and mind, we will not enjoy the worship of Allah Azza wa Jal. Imam Ghazali rahmatullah alayhi further goes on and has said, Allah Azza wa Jal created us for His worship. But what are we tiring? But we are tiring ourselves by working too hard for His sustenance, for our sustenance. O human being, free yourself for the worship of Allah Azza wa Jal, and then see. Allah Azza wa Jal will provide everything you need, provide everything to you that you need for His worship. Now somebody Or someone may be thinking that why don't we stop working altogether? Just stay in the masjid and Allah Azza wa Jal will provide for us. This is not how we should understand it. The point that we should take from this is that the greed we have developed inside us for the money is not good. We spend hours on end. We do overtime to earn more money to sustain our lifestyle. It is only fard upon us to earn enough so that we don't have to beg for food or clothes. Who said it is fard to earn for a 5-bedroom house when we only need a 3-bedroom? In this beautiful hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is warning us. He says, if a person is in search of halal sustenance with the intention to prevent his family from begging, he is in the path of Allah Azza wa Jal. And if a person is in search of halal sustenance with the intention to prevent himself from begging, he is also in the path of Allah Azza wa Jal. However, if a person is in search of halal sustenance with the intention to increase his wealth, he is on the path of the shaitan, the devil. My dear Islamic brothers, there are 3 intentions mentioned here for halal sustenance. Now let us think that what is my intention behind earning the halal sustenance? Is it to prevent ourselves and family members from begging, or is it to increase our wealth? While we are earning our halal sustenance, is it counted as being in the path of Allah Azza wa Jal, or is it being counted as being in the path of the devil? The message from this hadith of our beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is quite clear. We need to think about what are we doing. We have come in this world to worship Allah Azza wa Jal. Providing us with sustenance is His Azza wa Jal's generous responsibility. Why is it that we are worried about it so much that we are exhausting our mind and body to such an extent that we have no energy left inside us to pray or to worship Allah Azza wa Jal? We need to reduce this greed for wealth, this greed for this materialistic world, this greed for more and more money. We need to stop and tell ourselves that with the right intentions, our effort for halal sustenance can be counted as worship. But at the same time, if our intention behind earning halal sustenance is only to increase the wealth, then I'm afraid we are treading on the wrong path. And my dear Islamic brothers, to increase our tawakkul, our reliance in Allah Azza wa Jal, we need to be steadfast in remaining in the environment of Dawat-e-Islami. Make a habit of filling this Madani and Amat card on a daily basis, for increasing our love for the world hereafter. And you think Madani Qafles, one of the first things you learn on a Madani Qafle, and we all want to go there. We all want to go to paradise, but we never learn how to get there. One of the first things you learn on a Madani Qafle is how to open the 8 gates of heaven and enter through whichever one you want. And that is just one, and you learn that in a couple of minutes. And remember, you spent 3 days in a Madani Qafla. And just imagine what else you will be learning when you travel within the Madani Qafila. So my dear Islamic brothers, travel every month on a 3-day Madani Qafila to learn the Sunnahs and the compulsory knowledge of our deen so that we can save wealth of good deeds for our hereafter. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.